Gavin Newsom going up there saying, "Arrest me, tough guy." Show some of Gavin's tough guy speech there.
Max has been here 10 years. The fear, the horror, the hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
The perception is there's a lot of...
You think Trump liked having his face in a mugshot? This guy wants his face on a mugshot.
Gavin Newsom wants to get arrested. He said recently, "Oh, go ahead, arrest me, tough guy." And you know why he wants to do that? Let me tell you something. They saw just how much public support Trump got when people kept wrongfully persecuting him over the past 4 years. They saw how iconic that mugshot became, and all they're trying to do now is do that.
All right, folks, let's dive into today's headlines. Governor Gavin Newsom is stirring controversy with his fiery rhetoric, boldly daring his critics to arrest him, and sparking quite a stir, clearly drawing a page from the playbook of former President Trump, who saw massive support when he faced legal troubles.
Gavin Newsom wants to get arrested. He said recently, "Oh, go ahead, arrest me, tough guy." And you know why he wants to do that? Let me tell you something. They saw just how much public support Trump got when people kept wrongfully persecuting him over the past 4 years. They saw how iconic that mugshot became, and all they're trying to do now is do that for their side. Paint Gavin Newsom as some sort of prolific hero, even though he's the reason for all this mess. This is their plan. They are that devious. I hope you understand that. They always planned to bring in millions of people during the Biden years and give them as much free stuff as possible so that when Trump got back in office, because they knew he was going to, and they knew they were not going to win re-election in 2024, when he got back in, the situation would be so bad with so many people who are used to a bunch of free stuff that the minute Trump came in to try to clean up the mess they created, they would then point the finger at him and blame him for all the anarchy and the chaos they knew would result as a result of their actions. They create the problem and then dare anyone to fix the problem, because for the left, all they're doing right now is trying to attract their next prospective voting bloc. There is no other reason for them to go so hard for illegal immigration unless they didn't see some sort of value in these people they're bringing in. They want to have more representation in the halls of power, and how to do that is to bring people in and then find a way to get them citizenship as soon as possible, or at least allow them to vote. That's always been the plan. That's what they're going to continue trying to do. And now they're trying to blame Trump for the anarchy that they essentially caused by bringing in people who do not care about America, people who hate America, people who hate law and order. And now their goal is to continue to allow this to happen, and they really are hoping that something will happen very similar to what happened in 2020, so they can now have a new hero to hold up and champion and say, "Look what the terrible police officers did." This is what...
It seems Newsom might be playing a similar game of political chess, trying to cast himself as a hero of the left. But this isn't just about one man. Bill Maher has weighed in as well, criticizing the absurdity of using this drama to advance political agendas.
We'll even further and say this. This is June, right? You know what Democrats are usually up to in June, right? What does it tell you when the Democrats care more about this illegal immigration situation than what they're usually up to in the month of June? That should tell you who they see more value in trying to attract to their side. That is how you understand what their long play is. And they're going to continue to try to play this game out and get just to the point where it paints individuals on the right side, the side of law and order, in a negative light, because they care so little about the country. They would rather burn it down, literally burn it down, than see it restored, than to see law and order return to our streets. Those are my thoughts, and I'm curious what yours might be.
Now to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
Hi. So what are you and your police force? I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have...
He's questioning the motives behind these stunts. And he's not alone amid this spectacle. Immigration policy has become more than just a debate topic. It's a full-blown controversy dominating the political arena, with ICE raids and the backlash from enforcing laws meant...
It's just beyond heartbreaking and heart-wrenching to see all these innocent, beautiful people looking for a better life, mothers, sons, daughters, fathers, who look just like my family, being picked up by pogroms and disappeared into gulags and detention camps. And their only crime was being brown and indigenous. and that. And then when American citizens are disgusted and protest, then Trump sends the National Guard when he couldn't even get the National Guard to go to protect our Capitol when it was being attacked in January 6th. The only reason for these mass deportations, who the architect is Stephen Miller, and makes Trump happy, is racism. I mean, I just can't, there's no other reason. These people are innocent, loving human beings, and I'm disgusted. I can't take it anymore.
People are divided, tensions are high, and questions keep mounting. Do these actions truly reflect the will of the people, or are they just moves in a chaotic political game? All political rhetoric aside, as we examine Gavin Newsom's bold statements, it's clear he's throwing gasoline on a political fire. And this goes beyond mere grandstanding. It's about steering public opinion and shaping voter perception, all within a broader, complex web of political maneuvering and heated debates over immigration policy.
To the very cause that you're advocating
well, and it feeds into what he wanted to do. What he wants to do is he wants to create a scene. He wants to say, I was justified in sending in the National Guard because look at how violent foreign policy. His ratings are dropping
even on immigration,
like rocks. But there's one catch.
Is it like under 30%?
Current support right now, though, is that 66% of the American public actually thinks it is crime enough to be undocumented. And therefore deported.
That it's criminal to be undocumented?
Yes, it is not. You know how the disagreement was in the beginning? We were told it was going to be criminals, and I think everyone at this table would agree. Criminals, fine. But a very important distinction was 60% of the American public, 2/3 of independents, 90% of Republicans, and just a little under half of Democrats think the crime is in being undocumented.
Even if it's a civil offense.
Yes.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying is a massive amount of this country actually agrees with not how he's doing it, but with what he's doing.
So there's
I think the strategy here is he's leaning into a scene right now, creating a bigger thing, because it is the one thing that he remains supportive.
Let's fix that right now, because it is not illegal to be undocumented. It is not a crime to be undocumented.
But what they're saying is the problem is that they
no, but
are.
I'm saying we need to put that information out there. It is a civil infraction.
Yeah, and I don't think
criminal.
it's actually broadly a misunderstanding. I think that 60% of Americans believe it's a civil offense, and that if you come here.
Both sides are strategizing for a high-stakes political chess match, with Newsom's statements carefully crafted to position himself alongside those feeling disenfranchised by current immigration policies that, let's be honest, have long been a hot.
Spent the past 8 years running cover for illegals. Very, very concerned about children of illegals being separated from their families under President Trump. Under President Biden, did not appear to give two shits about it. I didn't see the lead NBC News report last week, as we heard about the number of them who are now being found in the hands of these so-called sponsors.
If we just take a look at the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration.
One side views the enforcement of immigration laws as essential for national security, while the other sees these actions as a direct attack on human rights, with families and children caught as pawns in a much larger political game.
Now to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi. So what are you and your police force, I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you don't.
So the answer is no. No, there is no country we could look at currently that we could model it after. He doesn't like the word illegal. Yes, you're illegal. You're not here legally. That is illegal. And no, just because your race of people were here at some point does not mean you're legally here. Mexican citizens at the time of California being annexed by the US, they were offered citizenship, like US citizenship. So if his ancestors accepted that US citizenship, and then he was born here, he'd be a citizen. So he's in our country illegally, says he doesn't like the system our country has been built upon, the most successful country in the history of existence. And then he wants to work to turn our country into a socialist country.
The ongoing immigration debate in America is far from a mere series of incidental controversies. It is a meticulously orchestrated political spectacle in which key figures like Governor Gavin Newsom maneuver strategically to secure, energize, and consolidate their voter bases. While critics argue that these stunts are designed less to address real policy concerns than to manipulate public perception, exaggerated portrayals of immigration enforcement, whether through ICE raids or fiery political rhetoric, serve as repeated signals aimed at galvanizing particular groups, much like a piano key struck over and over until its sound resonates and lodges itself firmly in the collective consciousness. Political narratives, in this context, wield extraordinary power. One side frames these actions as essential for national security, maintaining order, and protecting the integrity of the nation's borders, while the other paints them as deliberate fear tactics, using families, children, and vulnerable communities as pawns in a high-stakes game, amplifying human suffering for political leverage. Governor Newsom's public pronouncements, while brimming with bravado, are far from impulsive. They are calculated moves designed to signal defiance toward opponents, energize his supporters, and position himself as a champion for those who feel disenfranchised by existing immigration policies, all while knowing that any legal or political backlash could elevate his profile and portray him as a political martyr in the eyes of his base. Beyond his individual maneuvers, the broader landscape of immigration politics illustrates a complex interplay between law enforcement, ideological posturing, and media narratives, where every ICE raid, every publicized detention, and every speech becomes a focal point in a tug-of-war over public opinion, electoral influence, and the ideological soul of the nation. The debate also raises questions about the use of technology and data practices in post-enforcement procedures, with critics warning that aggressive data collection risks expanding state control over personal liberties, while proponents argue it is a necessary tool in enforcing the law and maintaining national security. At the heart of this, however, are real human consequences: families torn apart, communities destabilized, and ordinary people caught in the crossfire of a political game that prioritizes perception over compassion. Each statement, each policy, and each media cycle contributes to a narrative that is both deeply personal and profoundly political, forcing citizens to confront difficult questions. Do these actions genuinely reflect a commitment to public safety and order, or are they designed primarily to mobilize a specific segment of voters, consolidate influence, and manipulate the ideological battleground? Beneath the sound bites, headlines, and performative displays of bravado lies a deeply human story about identity, values, and the future of the country, a story in which the stakes are not simply political but existential for the communities directly impacted. From the fiery rhetoric of governors and politicians to the calculated framing of ICE raids, the saga of immigration enforcement and its surrounding debates illustrates a delicate and often brutal balancing act between law and compassion, security and opportunity, ideological strategy and ethical responsibility. In the end, it is clear that this is far more than political theater. It is a real-world struggle with consequences that ripple through families, neighborhoods, and the very fabric of American society, challenging citizens to look beyond rhetoric and into the tangible effects on lives and communities, forcing everyone to ask where they stand in a nation that has long been divided on these deeply emotional and politically charged issues, and how they will respond to the human implications of policies crafted at the intersection of strategy, spectacle, and societal consequence.